Hey everybody, how are we doing today? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are tuning in from today. Thank you so much for joining. I'm Nick Bell, your trusty Line 6 specialist for this morning, evening, or afternoon. So we've been doing these live streams for quite some time now, a couple of years. So sometimes it's hard to come up with ideas. At least for me, sometimes ideas that I think you all would find interesting. So, a tone that I've kind of always messed around with and had fun with was Tom Scholz from Boston. Now, hello from Chandler, Arizona. Hey, how's it going, guys? But yeah, like I was saying, the tone from Boston is, whether you're not into, older classic rock or whatever, you can't deny that is some amazing tone that guy's got going on. So I don't care what genre of music you play or you're from, you just have to appreciate what he's doing there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, take a quick glance over at HX Edit. Granted, this isn't the full tone, so it's a little quieter. So make sure, our levels are doing good. Let me know what your thoughts are. It's probably a little quiet, but it's gonna get a little louder as we go on. So you guys ripped me off, UX8. That wasn't me, Eric, but my apologies. Not sure what went on with your UX8, but sorry for what you went on, for what you experienced there. My apologies. But yeah, moving on. Let's see here, guys. So, like I was saying, Tom Scholz, huge tone, right? Now, what he did, and he actually created this in 1982, was one of the first, I don't want to say modeling because it's not really modeling. What it is it's really just a headphone amp that he came up with, what they call here an amp simulator. So he had this little Rockman, and you could find these still on Reverb. I think this one, the actual Rockman by Tom Scholz, that's probably you're going to see around $200, $300, $400. So pretty much what he's got going on here is no amps, no crazy pedal board for the most part. He's just using his rack gear. And so this is a smaller version of the rack gear that he actually has. But essentially what he's using here is just cab sims and, just filtering to kind of get that modeling or that kind of, headphone amp feel. Kind of the idea of how Pod 2.0 was made. So let's see here. So what's pretty cool, and what I took a look at, now you can go online and you can YouTube and check out some really cool videos. There's one specifically of his called the Tom Scholz Time Machine, and so you could take a look at that and just see exactly what he's got going on. And for a lot of you that are familiar with his tone, you're probably familiar with the crazy delays and stuff that he's got going on. And I did my best trying to recreate that, but he actually modified a Echoplex, a Maestro, Echoplex, and he created his own expression pedal where it just doesn't rock from heel to toe; it also goes from left to right. And so from research, there's only about 2 of these in existence. So trying to get what he's got going on, even with this technology, is pretty difficult, at least for me. Maybe maybe that'll be part 2 of this kind of tone tutorial that we're doing today. And so taking a look at the website here on this rockman.fr, if you're interested in this kind of tone and what he's got going on, there's a lot of good info in this website. And one of the things is like the schematics, like what's going on in this Rockman. And so I kind of, I've taken a look at this, seen what's going on. You can see the cab sim and, you're going right into compression. And as you can see, you can, kind of edit those parameters a bit. I know the rack mount version has a bit more control here, but think of that, all the, I know Boston has 4 or 5 albums, but for most of us here, especially me, we only really know 3 or 4 songs that we've heard on the radio growing up and so on and so forth. Billy Gibbons, I see this right here. Billy Gibbons, even David Gilmour, Pink Floyd, Jeff Beck as well. There's a pretty decent amount of users that have used, the Rockman. And like I said, created in 1982 before really modeling or anything were to hit the scene. So this stuff's pretty cool. And I hope we model one soon, because this gives you that arena rock sound, right? But taking a look over here, I try to, when I make an artist tone, I like to be as close to the real thing as possible. But as you may need to substitute one thing for another to get that sound you're looking for. But taking a look here, compression, it goes right into your distortion. There's 2 different distortion models, and then you have 2 clean models as well. And then we have a cab sim, and then we see that this line goes through, and for the left line out, there's a delay and a chorus, kind of his doubling effect he gets there. And then there's a gated reverb. Now I tried kind of messing around with a gate and a reverb, have fun with it. I don't have it in this tone, and I'm just gonna put this up real quick in case you want to just copy that, download the tone, follow along. I'll leave that up for just a couple seconds, and but then before we finish out, I'll make sure to put it up so everyone has time to take a look at it. But yeah, I totally agree. That would be rad. A Rockman model on the Helix would be Christmas come early. I definitely agree. So I'm putting it out there. Let's put out the vibe. Maybe Ben will hook us up with some magic. So thank you for that, Will. So as we see here, Rockman.fr reviews Rockman. This just goes really into detail on what's going on. And then when we come down here, the cab sim of the Rockman, as we see here, all the way in 1982, I took a look at this graph, and I tried to use some EQing to get as close as possible. So let's take a look at what we have here. Now, even though this was the cab sim and the distortion and such, we don't see an amp model in here. There's no Marshall or whatever it may be. So it's kind of, a guessing game for me at this point when I was creating, been working with this tone off and on for a little while. You just kind of grab what works. And so I gravitated probably what he was most used to playing in his generation from, the 70s on. And of course that'd be a Marshall Plexi, right? So what I did here is I just pulled up a Marshall Plexi, gave it some slight EQ adjustments, and then I brought in a cab. We're using our Greenback 25s, 57, 1 inch away from the speaker cab, so it's buttoned up right there. Now you'll notice I turned off the low and the high cut because I didn't want any EQing happening at the cab. I wanted that all to happen at my EQ here. And when we take a look at my EQ, we see the low frequency 126 hertz. We look at the mid frequency 647 hertz, and the high frequency 2.7 kilohertz. So what I did here is I tried to kind of recreate this frequency response we see here with that EQ. So right out of the box, so to speak, now I'm going to get rid of this guy right here so we don't get confused by it. So starting off, this is the tone I had. So I'll give us a little more volume. So very generic, very straightforward sound. So then what I added on here was our deluxe comp. We could turn that on. Using a 4:1 ratio. It didn't really move a whole lot around here. I feel like the model defaults, at least for my playing style and this tone, I felt they were set up in a good spot. So now we have more of a compressed sound. So we're getting there, right? So then now I add in our distortion, and now we're pretty much set. But it just sounds like your standard Marshall with a overdrive in front of it. So then we go over to this EQ here, and we'll just turn this on, and now it's really mid-ranging. So now we're probably a little loud, so as I said, the volume's going to increase. So I'm going to turn this down. And so now I have a much a tone that's much more in the mid-range. So if I were to play that, Don't Look Back riff again, without the EQ, quiet, although you already heard it. Now here's what the EQ. Right, so now we're getting there. It's pretty close. Now keep in mind, I'm playing with a Yamaha Pacifica 611 here. He's using a Marshall with PAF pickups more than likely. So of course, if you have gear that's truer to what he was using, you're going to move this stuff around a bit. But that's what sounds good on my end over here. Now, one thing I definitely added was our reverb, of course. So if you'll notice, especially if you download the tone, I have 2 different snapshots, a rhythm and a solo. So for the rhythm, the reverb isn't too prominent in your face. But let's see what we got. And so what I did not do is we didn't hook this up to a snapshot. So what I'd like to do for the mix on my rhythm tone, I'm just going to drop the mix down to about 25%, and then I'll right click and then click add to snapshot. So now in snapshot 1, my rhythm, my mix is at 25%. Let's go over to solo, and we'll just move this up to maybe, let's see what we get by 40. And you'll notice my delay turn on as well. Alright, cool. So there we are. But before we get there, so that's what I have going on here. And I feel like it's a pretty good set. So very mid-rangey. I've always kind of stayed away from the mids in a way. I've always kind of liked to back them up a bit and have a lot of highs and lows just for my ears. But as I've been messing around with this tone, it's a lot of fun kind of being in that mid-range. Now, like I said, depending on what axe you're using, although I'm trying to stay as true as possible to this this frequency response we see here. I tried to do as best as I could. Now, you see the mid gain, we're dimed at 12 with the frequency at 647 hertz. So when we see right here where that dip is right here, actually that, blimp right there, it's kind of a little past that 500 hertz mark. So, if you're really into this, check out this website, and, maybe you can, move some stuff around and get a little closer to that than myself. Now, one thing I did add, and that you're listening to now, if I were to turn this off, this is our stereo width volume edition here. So if you just go to volume pan stereo, you'll see stereo width. Now, what I like and how it sounds really good, especially on my monitors, is by turning this on and going to invert it. Now, my OBS, the program that's running all my camera feeds and stuff, it will not accept my Helix, but it will accept my power cab. And so you're hearing my Helix through my power cab into, back into my computer. So if I have it on inverted, just due to the mono send, it just cuts off and it doesn't send audio to my power cab. So I'm not getting that wide stereo spread that I want you guys to hear. If I could go direct from my Helix, you would hear it, but since I'm going through power cab, you can't. But if you download the tone through custom tone with the link I showed, or even just search N-Bell, as in Nick Bell, N-Bell, you'll find it. So right now I've resorted to normal. And what this does is that gives this tone that thick left and right, kind of a double-tracked, Boston sound, right? So that's why that's in there. Now, if I turn it off, I don't think we're going to hear much of a big difference. Then if we turn it on, If anything, it sounds like the volume gets a little louder, right? But definitely make sure you check out the inverted. That's how it's saved on the tone in a custom tone. And Pesta, thank you so much, man. Much appreciated. So taking a look here, what we have, we pretty much have a decent, tone going, and then we have our chorus for whenever we need it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cross over into my solo area, and then you'll notice my second EQ fires on, and all this is doing is bringing up the highs. Because when you listen to, his solos and, in the multi-tracks that he does, you can tell that there's some EQing going on. For the most part, his rhythm tone is pretty in the mid-range. But, Tom Scholz was also a crazy engineer, so who knows what he was doing behind the board when they were recording. And those, classic Boston songs, funny enough, those were recorded in a basement studio with gear that he created, with most gear that he designed. So that's why there's a lot of mystery here, because he doesn't go much into depth on exactly how he got his sound. So now we're in our solo section here. So what I have here in a parallel split, feel free, whatever sounds best to your ears, delay in front of the reverb or after. He was doing all sorts of weird stuff. I just have a transistor tape delay set at 430 milliseconds. And, and pretty much what you got here is his solo sound. No, not too bad. Cool sound. Let's see. Richard, I didn't see this from the beginning. I assume it will be available after the fact. I definitely want this preset. Yes, totally, Richard. I'll make sure to post the in the video and even in the chat the link to this tone. Let's see if I have it ready to go. Yep, there we are. So here's that link. That should go to both Facebook and YouTube. So there that is, but I'll show it up on the screen in case anyone can't see their chat. So that's where you can get this tone. So as we can see, we have a pretty decent tone here. The only thing that's left is his hyperspace pedal. Now, there is nothing online that I could find, no research, no book or anything. And I don't even think he sold his hyperspace pedal. And like I said, the hyperspace pedal, I think, just from the info I've collected, it was one or two tape delays, just an echoplex that he heavily modified and connected it to an expression pedal. And again, the expression pedal went from heel to toe, but it also went from left to right. And so it's, it's like, is he increasing the time and the feedback? Is he turning the feedback down and increasing the time? It's kind of hard to tell what's going on. So that would be, a cool project, right? To open up an expression pedal and just, kind of, modify it to do those kinds of things. But like I said, maybe one of you guys, could help me out, create, find, maybe you already know how to get that hyperspace sound, but I've spent some time throughout the years actually, trying to get that sound that he has. And even with this crazy technology we have here, it's hard. But maybe if we were able to get our hands on the echoplex that he modified, we would be able to do something with it. So essentially, with this hyperspace, he was able to get notes to constantly repeat. But if you do that with feedback and turn up your feedback, it's going to start to repeat, and then you're going to get this terrible feedback sound. His doesn't do that. So if you want, check out YouTube and just look up Tom Scholz Time Machine. And it's about an 8 to 10 minute video of him just noodling around. I think this was like about 10 years ago or less. There's a lot of good little insights there. But of course, he doesn't dive into exactly what's going on. So what I have here is I just have an expression pedal going. And as we can see the time, if I go into bypass and control, right here, obviously we see, what's being controlled by what, like the mix of my dynamic plate is being controlled by a snapshot. My chorus echo here, the bypass is on foot switch 9, but the timing is controlled by my expression pedal 1. And so the minimum time I set it at 108 milliseconds, and then the max time I set to 330. And what song has the hyperspace? Let's see, pretty much a lot of them. Foreplay is probably where you're going to hear it used the most. I would check that song out. Right after the kind of long keyboard intro, you'll hear just all sorts of crazy repeats and stuff. You could even search like Foreplay on YouTube, guitars only, and hear just the guitar track, and hear the isolated stuff, and it's just beautiful, the delays that he has going on. And again, I've tried creating it, and it's so hard. So definitely that song, and a couple others you'll hear it on, but I don't think there's a song that it's more in your face than in Foreplay. And of course, you could look up some live stuff as well, where Tom Scholz, he would include that in his soloing as well. So definitely check that out, because it's boggled my mind for years. Now, taking a look at the edit here, the delay I have going on is just the mod chorus echo. Even though I've turned modulation off, this was the one delay that I felt that I could get close to that sound. Now, again, I'm not claiming this is his hyperspace, but this is the closest I can get. Because when you watch that video, he'll just be trilling on a note, and then he hits the button, and it just sounds like he's continuously playing it. I can't really get that with a whole lot of stuff here. Of course, we have other delays like ratchet and tessellator here. And these do that for you. They kind of drone, though. You know what I mean? So trust me, I dove into those trying to get this sound. And so when he said he modified a Echoplex, let me tell you, he definitely modified an Echoplex. So what I have here is just, the expression pedal at heel, we're at 180 milliseconds, and at toe, we're at 330 milliseconds. And then you notice the feedback is really high at 97. So again, I did my best. It doesn't sound that great. No mystery there, right? Any of us, here, watching this video could, kind of create that kind of a sound. But, that was the best that I could really come up with. And so that's why I implore you guys, hey, maybe if you, come up with something, shoot it on our Facebook page, put it on Custom Tone, give me a shout out on Facebook, because I'd love to check it out. But otherwise, maybe that'll be part 2. I'm just gonna have to figure out what exactly he has going on. But that's really it for today, guys. I'm gonna put up back on the screen here our Custom Tone link where you can get this tone. There's no impulse responses or anything like that. But finally, the one thing I don't think I covered also would be our harmony here, our simple pitch. So when you think of Peace of Mind, there's a really cool solo in it. So yeah, like I said earlier, I've always, kind of mixed my mids down, but now that I've been messing around with this tone, I'm kind of really enjoying that mid range. So yeah, guys, so that's the tone there. You could find it, what about the twin harmony for that? Let's see here. So you could definitely do the twin harmony. From my ears and from just looking at, some sheet music lightly, I heard, to my ears, it sounded like he was doing a fifth, so I'm playing, pretty much right here, E flat. And he's playing on the other one. So, from what I can tell, that's a fifth right there. I've seen other tones where, they're doing like a minor or a major third. You could definitely do twin harmony. There's probably some other songs of Boston that I'm not familiar with where he's using more than one harmony. So you definitely could. You're just going to have, 3 harmonies all together. Your original from your guitar and then whatever 2 different keys you set here. And so, I felt that what worked was a fifth, going a fifth down, sense at 0, and then, the mix right around 50. So that's how I was able to get that sound. Good stuff there, Fred. Thank you so much. But yeah, that's how I was able to get that tone. But why don't you guys take a look at Custom Tone, download it for yourself, have some fun with it, and I'm always on Facebook as well. You could ping me directly or tag me in a post or whatever in this, or even right on our Facebook our Facebook webpage, and and maybe I'll take a look at the hyperspace pedal you were able to create. So that's what we have there, guys. It's the link is on the video that we see in front of us. It is also in the chat windows. And before I let you go, I always bring this up towards the end of our streams. We do have Helix lessons. I know it says Skype lessons on your screen, but we'll do it on Skype, Zoom, whatever works best for you. So if you want to talk artist tones, if you want to talk, how do I build a preset all the way to complex signal routing and MIDI, whatever it may be. If you just want to have a one-on-one with a Line 6 product specialist for free for anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour, hit us up. Go on line6.com/events. Sign up for one. Again, they're free. They're free for now. I don't think we would charge for these, but I don't know. I don't control that kind of thing. But keep in mind, it's free, and you don't get a whole lot for free nowadays. So make sure to check us out on line6.com/events, and maybe I'll see you on a nice one-on-one. If you guys have any questions about today's stream, feel free to just hit them up in the chat. I'll stand by for a little while, but much appreciated. Thank you guys again. There's that link to the tone just so you can check it out, 5790024. So make sure to check that out, or you could just search NBell on customtone.com. Thanks again, guys. I'll leave this up here as well for you guys to take note of, and stay safe, be healthy, and have a great weekend. Thank you so much for joining today. Peace out.